Let's talk about a coin that many people overlook because it feels far too modern to ever be considered rare or valuable. Yet it hides a secret that could turn an ordinary penny into an extraordinary discovery. The 1996 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of those coins. At first glance, it's just another copper-plated zinc penny, tossed into change jars, spent on candy, or dropped into vending machines without a second thought. But for those who know what to look for, the errors hidden on some of these pennies have made them among the most sought after by collectors. Some examples of these error coins have been valued anywhere between $29,000 to $102,000, a life-changing sum for a coin many people dismiss as practically worthless. Now, before we dive into the story behind this coin, let's pause for a moment and reflect on just how strange and incredible this is. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation for more than a century, first minted in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Over the decades, it has gone through subtle design changes, shifts in composition, and countless minting runs. By the time 1996 rolled around, the penny was everywhere in America, serving as the most commonly handled coin. Yet, it's precisely because of this everyday familiarity that so many people fail to notice the hidden gems lying in plain sight. The 1996 Lincoln penny was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia and Denver coins were released for circulation, while the San Francisco Mint primarily produced proof sets for collectors. What makes the 1996 coin truly fascinating, however, are the errors. These errors occurred not because of some deliberate design change, but because of imperfections and missteps in the minting process. To most people, they look like mistakes. To collectors, they're treasures. Some of the most famous 1996 errors include double die obverse pennies, where the lettering on "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date itself appears doubled under magnification. There are also dramatic off-center strikes, where part of Lincoln's portrait is missing because the blank planchet was not properly aligned in the press. Then you have broad strikes, where the coin expands outward and looks stretched, and die cracks, where raised lines appear across the surface of the coin due to wear in the dies. Each of these errors creates uniqueness. No two are exactly the same, which is exactly what excites collectors. Now here's where the story gets even more thrilling. In most cases, if you find a penny with a slight error, you might think it's only worth a few dollars or maybe 20 at best. But when the error is dramatic, easily visible, and in excellent condition, the price skyrockets. That's how we get to the jaw-dropping values attached to some 1996 error pennies. There have been sales at auctions where these coins fetched between $29,000 and $102,000, shocking both seasoned collectors and casual observers alike. It's not an exaggeration to say that finding one of these pennies in your collection or even in your change could completely change your financial life. What makes these values possible is a mix of rarity, demand, and condition. The rarity comes from how few major error coins slipped through quality control in 1996 and actually made it into circulation. The demand comes from the simple fact that Lincoln pennies are among the most beloved coins in American history, so collectors are constantly competing to own the best and rarest examples. And condition, well, condition is everything. A coin that's been heavily circulated with scratches and wear might not make headlines, but a pristine error coin kept in near-mint state can fetch astronomical prices. Let's talk a little about the design, because that also adds weight to the coin's appeal. The obverse features Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design first used in 1909 and still in use today. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears design. By 1996, this design had already been in circulation for nearly 40 years, and it had become a familiar part of American pocket change. What many people don't realize is that even tiny differences, like doubling in the letters of United States of America or distortion in the columns of the memorial, can transform this familiar coin into a rare collectible. Let's make it even more engaging by thinking about the everyday person who finds one. Someone might be rolling up pennies to take to the bank and suddenly notice that Lincoln's profile looks slightly stretched, or that the date seems doubled. At first, they might assume it's damage from years of circulation. But once they look closer or show it to a coin dealer, they discover they're holding one of the rarest error coins from the 1990s, worth potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Just like that, A penny that could have bought a stick of gum in 1996 is suddenly valued at between $29,000 and $102,000. That's the magic of coin collecting. The idea that something so ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary. Another layer to the story is the role of mint marks. Coins minted in Denver bear the D mint mark, while those from Philadelphia in 1996 actually had no mint mark. Collectors sometimes pay special attention to whether errors appear more commonly in one mint's output than another. For instance, a double die error from the Denver Mint might carry a different premium compared to one from Philadelphia, simply because of the relative rarity of those particular mistakes. This makes every error penny unique in its own right, with its value tied not only to the type of error but also to its origin. The collector market has also played a huge role in keeping these coins valuable. Auction houses love featuring dramatic error coins because they attract so much attention, and bidders know that owning one is like holding a piece of minting history. Every time one of these 1996 pennies crosses the auction block, the buzz spreads through the collecting community, which only increases interest in finding more examples. That cycle of attention and desire is what keeps values soaring, sometimes to unbelievable levels. There's also a historical aspect that makes the 1996 penny special. This was one of the final years before the U.S. Mint began experimenting with new designs in the 2000s, leading up to the State Quarters program and later the redesign of the penny reverse in 2009. In many ways, the 1996 penny marks the end of an era, the last stretch of Lincoln Memorial cents before big changes reshaped the look of American coins. That alone makes it a nostalgic piece, and when paired with a dramatic error, its significance grows even more. For anyone watching this who might be curious about checking their own change, here's what to keep in mind. First, always examine the date and the mint mark closely. Second, look at the lettering and numbers. If you see doubling or unusual spacing, it might be a double die error. Third, check the alignment of the coin. Off-center strikes are some of the easiest errors to spot with the naked eye. And lastly, always consider the condition. If the coin has sharp details, minimal scratches, and retains its original luster, it could be worth exponentially more than a heavily worn example. Stories circulate constantly about lucky finds. Someone pays for a coffee and receives change that includes a penny with a visible error. Another person sorts through an inherited jar of coins and stumbles across one with a broad strike. In each case, the initial assumption is that it's worth $1 or $2 at most, until they learn the truth. Suddenly, they realize that this coin could bring in between $29,000 and $102,000 at auction. It's the kind of discovery that feels like hitting the lottery, only instead of buying a ticket, you've just been paying attention to the change in your pocket. The world of coin errors is fascinating because it reminds us that mistakes can sometimes be more valuable than perfection. The 1996 Lincoln penny error coins are a perfect example of this. The U.S. Mint's high standards mean errors are relatively rare, but when they do slip through, collectors chase them passionately. And in the case of these pennies, the chase has led to extraordinary values, cementing their place as one of the most exciting modern errors to look for. So, if you've got a jar of pennies sitting somewhere in your home, or if you're handed change while shopping, take an extra second to look at those 1996 pennies. Because in that small, copper-plated coin might lie an error that transforms it from a single cent into a fortune. And if you happen to find one of those rare gems, you won't just be holding a coin, you'll be holding history, and possibly a payday worth anywhere between $29,000 and $102,000. That's the incredible story of the 1996 Lincoln penny error, a coin that proves even the smallest piece of change can carry life-changing value. The world of rare coins has always fascinated collectors and treasure hunters alike. When we think of valuable coins, our minds often drift toward centuries-old pieces of silver or gold. But the truth is that some of the most unexpected treasures are sitting right in our pockets, waiting to be discovered. One of these hidden gems is none other than the 1993 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny coin error. At first glance, it looks like the same copper-plated zinc penny that millions of people used for vending machines, bus fares, and daily purchases in the early 1990s. But hidden among the ordinary are rare error coins that can command staggering prices when they surface in the collector's market. Some of these coins have already shocked collectors and sellers alike, bringing in auction prices anywhere from $40,000 to $115,000. The story of the 1993 Lincoln penny begins with its design. On the obverse, you find the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, whose image has graced the 1-cent coin since 1909. Designed originally by Victor David Brenner, this portrait has remained one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. By 1993, pennies were no longer made primarily of copper but instead consisted of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This change was made back in 1982 to cut costs, but it also introduced new opportunities for minting errors to occur. While most 1993 pennies are worth just 1 cent, certain error coins have become incredibly valuable due to their rarity, unusual flaws, and the immense demand among collectors. Error coins are not simply mistakes. They are unique pieces of history. They are the result of mishaps during the minting process that slipped through the quality control systems at the U.S. Mint. These errors range from double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, wrong planchet strikes, and die cracks to other rare anomalies that make a coin unique. In 1993, the Mint produced over 14 billion pennies, but only a fraction contained errors significant enough to spark collector interest. That scarcity, combined with strong demand, is what pushes the values into the tens of thousands of dollars. Take, for example, the double die obverse errors. This type of mistake occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the hubbing process, creating doubled images on the coin. With the Lincoln penny, this often appears in areas like the motto "In God We Trust," the date, or the word liberty. Collectors search relentlessly for these types of doubling, as they are easy to see with the naked eye and represent some of the most exciting errors ever discovered. A well-preserved 1993 penny with strong doubling could fetch extraordinary amounts, sometimes reaching into the range of $40,000 to $115,000 at auctions depending on condition and demand. Another fascinating error comes in the form of off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank or planchet is not properly seated in the press before the strike, resulting in part of the design being cut off. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin. If the date remains visible despite the off-center strike, the value climbs even higher. For a 1993 penny, an off-center strike that is extreme yet leaves enough of Lincoln's portrait and the date intact can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Collectors love these coins because each one is essentially a one-of-a-kind piece, a visual testament to minting imperfections that should not have escaped into circulation. Clipped planchets are yet another error type that can make a 1993 penny worth a fortune. A clipped planchet occurs when the sheet of metal used to make coins is misfed into the blanking press, causing coin blanks to overlap when punched out. This results in coins that have a noticeable missing crescent or straight edge. While clipped planchets are not uncommon across U.S. coinage, they are still rare enough in the Lincoln series to bring in high values. A 1993 penny with a dramatic clip in pristine condition can easily fall into the high-value category. Broad strikes are equally exciting, occurring when the coin is struck without the collar that normally holds the planchet in place. This causes the design to spread outward, creating a stretched and distorted appearance. Collectors see these errors as unique examples of minting gone wrong, and depending on the sharpness of the strike and the overall condition, values can be staggering. But perhaps the most thrilling error coins are those struck on the wrong planchet altogether. Sometimes, due to mistakes at the mint, a penny design gets struck on a planchet meant for a different coin, such as a dime or a foreign denomination. These errors are extremely rare, and when discovered, they can create shockwaves in the numismatic community. If you were to come across a 1993 penny struck on a dime planchet, the uniqueness and rarity of such a piece could propel its value into the highest ranges of $40,000 to $115,000. Collectors often ask why some error coins fetch small premiums while others sell for life-changing amounts. The answer lies in a combination of rarity, demand, condition, and visibility of the error. A minor die crack might add only a few dollars of value, while a bold double die or major off-center strike can send a coin soaring to astronomical figures. Add to that the grade of the coin, determined by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC, and you begin to see why these coins can reach six figures. Coins that are uncirculated or in mint state condition with clear errors are the ones that break records at auctions. Auction stories surrounding rare 1993 Lincoln penny errors have continued to captivate the coin collecting world. Sellers who stumbled upon these coins in their change or inherited collections often find themselves shocked when they realize the true worth of what they possess. Some have seen their humble penny transform into a ticket to financial relief, luxury purchases, or even retirement savings. Collectors, on the other hand, see them as must-have treasures, bidding ferociously to secure a piece of numismatic history. The thrill of these discoveries is what fuels the passion behind coin hunting. Every jar of change, every old drawer of forgotten coins, and every inherited collection holds the potential of hiding one of these rare treasures. The 1993 penny is a perfect example of how something so small and ordinary can be transformed into something extraordinary. Knowing that a coin you might dismiss as pocket change could actually be worth anywhere between $40,000 and $115,000 is a thought that keeps collectors searching and everyday people checking their coins just a little bit closer. For many, the hunt is not just about financial gain but also about connecting with history. Each error coin tells a story of the minting process, of the workers who overlooked it, and of the millions of coins that were perfectly ordinary while this one coin stood apart. In a world where machines strive for perfection, these flaws remind us of the human element behind even the most automated processes. The 1993 Lincoln 1-cent penny error coins remain a shining example of this phenomenon. They highlight how modern coins, often dismissed as common, can still hold surprises that rival even the most famous numismatic treasures. For those who take the time to look closely, these coins offer both historical intrigue and financial opportunity. So, the next time you handle a penny from the 1990s, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a closer look. Check the date, inspect the lettering, and look for signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual shapes. Your penny may just be one of those rare errors that collectors are willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars for. And if you're truly lucky, you could find yourself holding a coin valued at $40,000 to $115,000. A tiny piece of copper-plated zinc that holds the power to change your life. The 1993 Lincoln penny error coins stand as proof that treasures are still out there, hidden in plain sight. All it takes is patience, attention, and a little bit of luck to uncover them.